Hey, it's Chris. So, we talk about games all the time on here. We're talking about games that are hot. I talk about games that I'm reviewing. I talk about games that I'm just interested in. But, again, reviewer hat off. Just, Chris, what are you playing as a what do you like to play style of things? And so, in this video, in case you're not familiar, right, there's this thing that goes around the hobby, the X by X, essentially. I'm going to play this many games, this many times. And as simple as that sounds, it also is quite difficult depending on your play style or how fast you rotate through things. So, I talked to my wife this year, and we said, okay, I know how much this is important to you. That's what she said to me. So let's do this, right? So I said, okay, 10 by 10, right? Sounds simple and straightforward. I'm going to run you through 10 games that we decided. 5 for me and 5 for her. Let's go. Now, truth be told, right? There's a couple of these that I have to put out there that aren't going to be on this list that will probably easily get 10 plays. But I said, okay, for whatever reason, this can't be included because it's kind of cheating, or you know what, it's not really a good test of things, right? And so, for example, the first one up, and I don't have it because it's sitting on the table right now, is the Ticket to Ride Legends of the West, right? Ticket to Ride Legacy. Because my 11-year-old is really enjoying that game. We got the bug with Ticket to Ride Northern Lights, which is my absolute favorite Ticket to Ride, period, hands down, recommended over everything else if you can actually find a copy, which you can't in North America. But then, shortly after this, I got it as a review copy. And, again, review copy, okay, I'm going to have to play it that many times. So, again, doesn't count. But he's just super in love with it, right? He's like, can we play? Do you think we can play more than one at once? Like, do you think we'd have time for that? Right? And so that's why you do this. But again, I can't include that. That's cheating. Same thing, right? I've got a couple copies, expansions sitting right down here, so we'll pull one of these out. So I have a visual aid right here. Uh, Marvel United, Marvel United, Marvel United, Multiverse. Again, it's me filming this mid-February, depending on when this is airing. Mid-February, we are pretty much at that mark already for Multiverse because my kids love Marvel United, right? It's the one that we always go back to after we phase in and out of these other hotness cycles and hype cycles on the kids side of things of what appeals to them. And I love it. I haven't played through all the multiverse expansions yet. When I do, there will be a video ranking them, talking about them. Probably a couple videos, my favorite heroes, my favorite villains, my favorite modes, whatever else along those lines, because I really do freaking love this game. It's also why I may have gotten all of DC United. Oh, I know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I did it. It's the one sucker thing I have, sort of like, 2 or 3 of these that I own it all. I shouldn't own it all, but I do. So that one is also on the list. And the last one is actually still sitting right down here below an edition. And if I can get a different prototype out of the way, we'll grab it here with one hand. And this is going to be a little bit difficult, but going to the gym paid off. And that's Slay the Spire, because I just got that before filming this as well. And I want to know, right? Is this worth it? Is this the hype? Is this the end all be all of things? Is this truly, truly, truly for me that good of a game? I really like the video game, but again, it's one of those where I'm not sure if it's going to be the chase that makes it so good, but then the ultimate, you get it, sort of like the dog chasing after the car or the post office worker, and once they catch it, they go, what do I do with it now? That's how I feel like a lot of games are portrayed in our hobby, and I'm very hesitant to take this out of the shrink because I am afraid that this is going to be that type of game for me. And that scares me. As I've said several times on this channel, many times in this channel, I bought this at retail, right? This isn't a review copy, this isn't a production copy. This is me buying a retail copy and seeing. And my track record, retail buying, is not great. It's not. Overwhelmingly, like, it's over 50%. I don't want it later at retail. And that's bad. I am excellent at crowdfunding. I am bad at retail. So, roguelike builder, deck builder, baby. Cooperative, taking the solo spin and making it multiplayer on the tabletop. Oh, there you go. Those are the honorable mentions, at least off the top of my head. What's the meat of this, though? So, a lot of this, as the meat of it, is going to be games I have covered extensively, games I've talked about extensively. But ultimately, they're also games that I go, when I'm just sitting down, what do I want to have fun with? What is fun to me, right? It doesn't have to be the best game. I think perfect balance is freaking overrated. I think just fun is the catch all for just, I have a great time of why I'm in the hobby. And so, the first one up here is the loop. I just found out like the loop is like out of print or something. Like all the expansions are out of print, even the base. I don't know, right? Like so, this is one of my favorite cooperative games, and there's going to be a theme here because I get to choose my half of the list. So this is one of my favorite games. It's horribly unbalanced. The Doctor Fu drop cubes down the middle. It just screws you over left and right and center, and the games end prematurely, and you bust, and the thing blows up in your face. And the expansions are too difficult. The latest expansion, the Furbrigade, balances it out, gives you additional powers. Still not enough to mitigate like Fuzilla, but it's just the penultimate experience from a cooperative side of things, from just pure crazy chaos for me. And I just can't have enough of it from that aspect. So I don't have any qualms about saying this is awesome. The other one that I just don't have enough practice with spirits wise, and that's going to be Spirit Island. And it's going to be on the 10 by 10 list. My wife hates this game. My wife hates this game. My wife hates this game. And so it shouldn't be on this list whatsoever. And so instead of that, as a mid-video fake out, we're actually going to do Res Arcana because she hates Spirit Island. And if I put that on the list, I would not get through this list whatsoever. And the goal of this is to actually get through this list. And Res Arcana is my favorite engine builder, period. I love the card-driven system. I love the making orange juice out of oranges. And I just enjoy very thoroughly feeling slightly clever. Again, like I'm not one of those people who play it online. If you've read those forums, they're like, you can win in 4 turns. I am not that person. But I'd like to get better at it. I'd like to feel like I'm actually slightly decent at games. And at times, I really don't feel that way. And so I would really, really appreciate it if I could get a little bit of this. And so again, this is why, as we're playing most of these almost exclusively 2-player, although a couple of these are going to be included with kids, and you'll see that in a second. It's why I don't include something like Wiz Wars, which is sitting just off camera right here to the left, because I would love to play that, easily 10 or 15 times this year, but I would be happy playing it twice too, because that's an experience game. But that's why these are at least on the list, or, one is on the list. Then I had to go over not too far and actually just pull out this. Again, this is one my wife hates, but I'm not going to do a pump fake out on this with you because we're actually going to play this cooperative. We're going to play it against the boss, and so I'm going to try and get her to experience the joy of this that is the cooperative rather than the head-to-head competitive time-based element of a real-time shoot 'em out, pattern matching, quick as you can. And so I'm hoping that this will win her over. Not that she's ever going to necessarily want to play the other mode with me, but again, like, I love finding out the asymmetry in games like this, where you find a couple of those characters or decks or factions that you absolutely love and that you absolutely get joy out of. And so that's why for me, for this one, again, I have the premium wooden deluxe components. It's one of the few games I deluxified and I'm super happy about. It just clicks in all cylinders. I am a very tactically driven, non-spatial person, and so this tactical nature pushing my boundaries of the spatial nature makes me feel super, super good about myself when I can actually do that. Again, I don't usually win though, so it doesn't really matter because we're going to play this one cooperative. Speaking of cooperative though, the other one that I need to explore the depths of, I just got my copy of Eternal Decks, and this is potentially going to be one of the best games of 2025 for me as a cooperative. Play your hand of cards one by one, fill rows in certain set collection parameters that are dictated by the game itself in the first place, not only by the rows themselves, but by the rules of the monsters that are affecting that. Gather more decks that are made up of additional monsters that will give you additional cards, colors, and combinations, but also additional restrictions. So I just want to explore the depth of it. Is it going to be a flash in the pan? this is cool because it's unavailable? Or is this cool because this is actually one of those super, super clever games? And again, people probably aren't going to like this because it's a little bit limited communication, right? Those games in the lineup, The Game, or, the one from this past year, The Gang, they're very hit or miss, very dry in terms of just, parting of the Red Sea, and you're either on one side or the other. But for me, this strikes home to, again, why I got into it, and I crowdfunded it. Otherwise, but no, I don't know where I'd find it right now. So I'm very pleased with that one already. Even if it doesn't pan out super long term, pull it out once in a while. I can already see it being lovely from that aspect. I would like to say that it pulls out all the time. I would like to say I can pull it out all the time. Phrasing. And right, with a video about me and my wife. Okay, but I would like to really say, though, at the same time, it fits a cooperative niche that I don't see overlapping with a lot of the other ones, right? Like, I don't go, oh, I'm going to play this one over this one because they're so similar, right? Like, that's not an issue with this one. So I love that fact, too. Last up, right here, this one's going to be kids. And truth be told, we could already be about halfway there at this point, because my kids and I have played this pretty much a couple times a week since we got it, and they love it. And they love it. And we have yet to venture into missions, but we're finding out which of these I like and they like, because my kids definitely don't experiment a ton. My 9-year-old's like, I got one character, Dad. My 11-year-old, though, now, he was 10, he just turned 11. So in case you're wondering, I do know my kids' ages, because there's going to be a couple of people in the comment section that are going to be like, Chris, don't you have a 10-year-old? Are you screwing up those dates again? Yes, but no, because he just turned that. So, I have tried almost all of them at this point, but I don't know how I feel about all of them. The 9-year-old is in love with Iceman, and the 11-year-old has kind of gone back and forth between Jean Grey and Cyclops. I have done Gambit, Rogue, Wolverine, Storm, and Cyclops, and so we'll see. I'm also a little trepidatious because we haven't gone into missions. And I'm not going to include missions, but I'm just going to include this. This is going to be an easy one for us. It's going to be a layup. This is going to be a basketball term situation for me. But you know what? I'm okay with that too. Because again, my kids absolutely love it. And it's getting easier to get out, to play, and to get away. Because that's the big challenge with kids' games lately, as they start to get older, is they start getting things that you just don't want to set up and tear down because you're the one doing it all. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And we'll see where mission goes, because I'm a little trepidatious about missions, because it's significantly longer from that same degree. A lot of those missions, that's, potentially Achilles' heel of missions, is that it's just a much longer length overall with a lot more like, gotta do this, gotta do this, gotta do this, gotta do this, gotta do this. Just reading the rules. I haven't played it. But I can see that happening. Not because it's a game group thing, you or I, but again, playing with kids and the analysis paralysis at this age, again, they're trying to think it through, and they're not like me where they just take the first action off the top of their head. So I'm excited, but it's going to be a test of my patience in that regard as well. So those are my 5 right now. So then for my wife, what are the ones for her? And she is very much a Johnny come lately sort of person. Like, what did we play most recently? What have I tolerated most recently? And I just want to go back to something similar in that regard. She's not going to come in here and look at these games. She doesn't, we have not played a majority of them. I've played them elsewhere, solo, all those other aspects. So she loves what she loves. And I love her for that. And so that's why we'll skip down to this one actually first. Space Base. This is her favorite game. We've played this about 30 times total, and I have won once. No, seriously. I've won one time. And truth be told, it was because she was like, let's play something. And I was like, I don't want to play anything. So I'll just lose this really quickly. And then every single thing went my way. Right, can't make this up. And you know what? I don't like Shy Pluto. Neither of us like Shy Pluto. But we got the more recent, Genesis expansion? And Genesis is actually really cool. If you're familiar with Space Base, the big problem with the base game is that you have these cards that take little cubes to fill them, and then you use them when they're full. But it's suboptimal strategy in terms of winning or losing at the base game. And so Genesis really takes that on its head and makes it a much more viable engine and option to streamline a lot of the stuff. And so the one or two plays we've had with Genesis, I have been really pleased by it. Am I going to win? Nope, nope. I'm willing to concede this. And again, because I don't really care about winning. I don't, right? Unpopular board game opinion. I could care less about winning. I would get last place in every single game if it meant that I got to play more games more consistently with people I want to play games with and the games that I love. Sorry, not sorry. So easily, this was the easiest pick for her, without a doubt, right? Whew, gonna go over 10 on that one. Second up, I mean, there was a reason this was the, number 2 game for me of 2024, Agent Avenue from Nerd Lab Games. We love this game. And this is going to be super easy to play 10 times. We can play this 3 or 4 times right in a row. I mean, you could get this done in 3 days, 4 days at most, and be done with this 10 by 10. But you know what? You need stuff like that. That's just a palette refresher. As an I cut, you choose sort of, I play 1 card face up, I play 1 card face down, you choose which one you want, you build your tableau, and I got to catch you on the little grid spinning around. You add the black market deck, which makes things crazy, changes the win conditions and the lose conditions, and you just got a hit on your hands. And so from that aspect, I can't say enough good things about this. This is, going to probably turn into a top 25 game for me all time. It's got the combination of quick to play, a little bit of strategy, very tactical, and just enjoyment factor all rolled into one. Then the other one that I was super worried about that I wasn't sure she'd like, again, my number 1 game of 2024 was Lord of the Rings, Duel for Middle-earth. And the hype, it exceeded the hype. It exceeded that in terms of expectations. Is it perfect? No. I mean, the little area control map thing is, it is what it is, right? But the sum of the parts, is much greater than the individual parts with this one. And the thematic incorporation really makes this for me too. I'm not usually that person, right? Like, I'm an abstract lover. I love abstracts. I don't need thematic incorporation whatsoever. I have no qualms about that. So all you dry Euro people can, we're sharing a moment here. And so it just does what it does, and it does it well. So the only question I'd wager is, are we going to see more? Right? Because as I said in several other videos recently as well, we're talking this. And guess what? If you think you can milk this for more, it's going to be milked for more. Guaranteed. It's just a matter of when, not if. So that was an easy one on the list as well. Number 4, again, I covered this. Again, this is one of those where I say, it's not just me loving these games or pretending I love them for review purposes or things like that, but spectacular. And this wasn't as high. I think this fell just outside my top 10 of 2024. But again, it's got the accessibility factor. It's got the build your own grid style factor that we both kind of like. And with 2 players, it plays really fast, passing these little trays back and forth of the dice and the, tiles. And again, I'm not very good at it. Again, we mess up a rule of placing like the 6s down almost every single game, or how you do the towers and, that sort of thing. But we go, whoops. Oh, okay. Nah, don't worry about it. It's okay. No big deal. Because it's the experience. So I have a type. It's experiences for me. Now, experiences for you are going to be different, and that's okay. But that's, again, why we do this. So this one, as just a slightly more complex, slightly longer, but still incredibly easily accessible, wins out more than anything else. The last one, I thought I was going to have to go further here, but it's Splendor Duel. I really like Splendor Duel. She does too. Again, it's a twist of the known Splendor, and it's probably, of all the Duel games that I've played, of all the Duel games that are coming up, right? There's 3 more that have been announced since I even filmed a ranking of my favorite Duel games, earlier this month, of Furnace, Flamecraft, and White Castle, compared to King of Tokyo and all of the others that have come out since, Everdell and Azul and all of those, right? I'm looking at this and going, this is still probably overarchingly, apart from Lord of the Rings Duel, which we were just talking about, this is my favorite of all of the other ones. It shouldn't be, probably, right? Azul is fantastic. Everdell is tricky in the right way. King of Tokyo is kind of meh. But this one, hands down. And so that's kind of why it was an easy choice overall. Like, it was a great choice. And you know what? Let's throw in one more honorable mention here at the end, in case one of these gets thrown out, or one of them is too easy, or we change our minds. The other one, again, maybe make this just 11 by 11, go crazy all in there. Dune Imperium Uprising, and I'd love to incorporate it to see what Bloodlines offers. I've heard mixed things. Some people like it, some people don't like it. Over convolutes, adds just enough to give you the other expressions of the expansions from the previous iteration. And I would be shocked. I would be shocked if we didn't have another expansion coming down the pipeline for that as well. Spoilers right here. Mark my words, right? I'll call my shot, Lee Stradamus. Do you think we would see a Dune Imperium dual version in the future? Question mark. If so, you heard it here. That's all I got. Stay classy. Let me know what would be on your list. Why would they be on your list? Could you actually get it done? There's a reason I didn't include Dune War for Arrakis or Millennium Blades, right? So take that for what you will. Thanks for watching. Sub if you want. Subscribe. Patreon me up. Let's go. Have a great freaking day.